when I think about global morality, I think that the good news is that we're all very similar. The bad news is that domain by domain specific, we can actually get very bad lessons from society around us about what is acceptable and not acceptable. So imagine you're a banker. You know, if you're a banker in the US is part of your culture. It kind of defines what is acceptable and not. But as we move to a global economy, could it be that you would look at bankers everywhere as your reference group? Or think about politicians. If you're a politician in the US, maybe you look at politicians in the US as defining for you what you think is acceptable and not. But as you get broader and broader on that, it could become change your understanding of what's acceptable. One of the papers on this that I like the most is a paper that looks at representatives to the UN and how often do they park illegally. Right? So if you're a representative to the UN, you can park illegally and you're a diplomat, so you don't get any punishment. It's still disrespectful. You're still doing things that are not desirable. There's no consequence. And what they showed is that when people first come to the UN, the percentage that people do it correlates very well to the corruption index of Transparency International. Right? Countries that are low, some countries in Africa, Saudi and so on, are low on the, they're high on the corruption index, and they're also high in parking illegally. Countries like Sweden, the Northern European, are low on the corruption index, and they don't indeed park illegally. But what they also found is that as people stay longer in the UN, they gravitate toward the low end. Why? You come to the UN, you're influenced by the opinions of people from your home country. So if you're from Sweden, you keep the standard of Swedish behavior, but then you start associating with other people from the UN, from other countries that has a mix of people who behave well and behave better. And you know what? The people who behave worse are more salient. Who do you see? You see the ones who are parking illegally, you gravitate toward it, and morality overall deteriorates.